Hello, everybody. Mike Donahue here, and you're in Monday Night with Mike. Monday night. I'm glad you guys are here. We have a special guest today. She's up in prison right now. No, I'm kidding. Um, her name is McKenna, but everybody calls her Fred, which is a little weird. But Fred, okay, McKenna, how did you get the name Fred? What happened?
So I was born with like bright strawberry blonde hair. So it was like red. And then dad called me redheaded Fred. And then I'm obviously not a redhead anymore. So now my name's just Fred.
It just stuck.
It just stuck.
This,
Everyone
well,
calls me Fred. I only
and
really get
so,
called McKenna unless I'm like in trouble. So
oh,
yeah.
McKenna, get your body over here.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah. Okay. All right. So, I met you last week, actually. It's weird. I feel like I've known you for my whole life. You and your mom. Your mom is the counselor at the school at Banner County High School in Nebraska.
She is.
And I came in and did a staff presentation first. I think it was on Tuesday night. Met your mom. Met you, actually. You came through the gym. We said hi and
I
stuff. But
did.
the next day, I came and did the assembly at the school. You were in there.
I
So
was.
what was that like? We yeah, what was it like for you? Like, how yeah, what was it like?
I loved your presentation. You started the presentation with a statement and you were like, I'm not here to lecture you. And it kind of just felt like you were part of our student body. Like you were just there to talk to us and there to tell us about your story. And you were very inspiring. The way you spoke to us it was easy to connect with. Like, didn't feel like we were getting lectured. It just felt like you were there to understand us. We felt like friends.
Well, that's cool. That's kinda what I want. I don't wanna come in and, how's an old white guy like me gonna come in and tell people how to live their lives, you know
Yeah.
what I mean? I don't wanna do that. I'd rather just, I think one of the people that when we were asking the leaders later, they said something like, "You didn't tell us how to live, you just showed us, why people do some of those things and
Yeah.
kinda help us see that." That's kind of a goal. What specifically, spoke to you where you're at in your life right now? Like, what do you think, you went, "Oh, I walked away with this."
I think all of your presentation I could relate to, but you talked a lot about teenagers being under pressure, and I feel like I'm blessed enough to have a family that is understanding, but I know that some kids deal with a lot of pressure. Like being a teenage kid can be stressful sometimes. And I know there's a lot of kids that deal with other things outside of the school building and that just builds that pressure up. And so that really spoke to me. And you also talked about having goals, not just like occupational goals, like having a goal. I that meant a lot to me and that made me think like what do I want to do? Like what do I wanna do before I leave this earth?
What is that? What do you wanna do?
When you and I were talking, I told you that I just wanna be a better person and I wanna leave an impact on people. Even if it's a small group or one human, I'd just like to leave my impact with someone.
Well, you've already done that, so now it's time to die. You have to die now. I'm kidding. No, you're gonna make a huge difference in the world. I think that's awesome. Okay, so you're the type of person, I'm assuming, that really cares about others and you care about the community of your school. Um, when you were sitting there, I know you were listening to it for you, but what were you thinking about some of the other classmates and, what they were getting from it and how you think it might help them?
I was really hoping when I realized that this presentation was gonna be the bomb diggity. I was like, I hope you're all listening because I know in the assembly I said something about how there's a lot of negativity that flows through high school and that's a normal thing. Like I think there's always going to be drama wherever you're at and there's going to be negative people. And so I really just hope that my peers walked out of that gym realizing how they can affect someone with what comes out of their mouth. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And I hope it also made them reflect on themselves and realize, I should strive to be better.
right. Maybe they get to see themselves in a different light, like they have
Yeah.
value. A
Yeah,
lot of times they get the message from home or from life circumstances, whatever, that they're not valuable.
exactly.
And I hate that because I personally think everybody has the same value, as far as, God given, universe given, however people look at it. But the bottom line is they have value, but
Yeah,
they don't walk in it. They walk in the way they feel about themselves. And the way they feel about themselves isn't trustworthy because it comes from different broken circumstances, and
exactly.
it's not, it doesn't really reflect your true value, and that's frustrating for me as a speaker, as a person, just because I want everybody to see that they have value. So let me ask you this question. What would the hallways of the school like? You talked about how it's negative now, right? And by the way, those of you listening, every school's like that. Like, that's not
Yeah.
just Banner County, that's every school. And to be honest with you, to be fair, I felt like there was a pretty good atmosphere there, but it's normal. She walks the halls. She sees what really goes on, and there is negativity. So let me ask you this, Fred. Um, I can't call you Fred. I just can't do it. I can't do it. I'm gonna do it. All right, Fred. Um, if every kid in your school if every kid in your school walked around with the knowledge that they had true intrinsic value, they knew they were a 10. They knew. Every kid was like that. I mean, it's Fantasyland, but let's say it happened, right? What do you think what would the hallways of the school look like after that?
I think that if everyone had a good amount of self-confidence and they knew that they were good enough and they knew that they can do whatever they put their mind to, I feel like it would be a much better atmosphere. Like, we were talking and you said that people reflect, like, people act how they feel, and so it is kinda sad to see some people act up and some people be rude to each other because they don't feel secure with themselves. So if everyone was confident and knew they had value, I feel like our high school would be a very positive atmosphere because everyone would be reflecting kindness and exactly what they were feeling about themselves.
Isn't that weird? Because the emphasis a lot of times goes on like, well, let's teach these kids how to like each other. And I don't think you need to teach kids how to like each other. I think it would be a natural flow if they
Yeah,
like themselves, right?
exactly.
If they like themselves, they would naturally like, I'm not gonna like you if I don't like me. Why would I? You know what I
Yeah.
mean? I need to have that incentive. So yeah. All right. So McKenna, I'm gonna show you this video. And that's the story I told in the school about the girl who the volleyball player from Lincoln Lutheran that came down and told me that she was really struggling with mental health and she needs some help. And she stopped the whole assembly. I mean, the assembly was over, but I mean, the whole room saw what happened. And so later on, she sent me a letter and we put this to a video and just sort of tell the story. And it kind of goes along with our curriculum that we give to schools. But let's just go ahead and watch that.
Dear Mr. Donahue, I'm sending you my shoe. Thank you for wanting to tell my story, but before you do, promise me one thing. Promise me you'll tell the kids you speak to at the assemblies to never assume. Don't assume a big smile means happiness. Don't assume winning means confidence. Don't assume a scholarship means someone feels secure. Back then, everyone thought I was winning in life. Pretty, popular, full ride, the whole deal. What they didn't know was that I couldn't breathe half the time. I would sit out in my car before school, heart racing, believing that if I didn't score that night, didn't perform, didn't prove myself, my value would be gone. I was exhausted, trying to earn the value that I already had. So yes, hold up my shoe and tell my story, but tell them what really matters. Not trophies, not perfection, not comparison. Tell them their value isn't something they chase. It's something they carry. And when they understand that, they stop competing for worth and start surviving, healing, and growing. I'm better now, not because I achieved more, but because I stopped performing for my value and started walking in it.
Yeah, that's a awesome video, and I'm not a videographer, but I actually shot that and produced that myself. Thank you very much. Thank you. Um, so, you know, so that's a true story, and I tell that story in the school, and how she came down and she was really struggling with her mental health, and we got her some help with her dad and mom, and I talked to them, and they got her a counselor, and a year later, I went back to the school, and he gave me, that shoe that's there in the video, and, that's not her actually, that's an actress, but, the shoe's real, and so the bottom line is, I wanted to talk to you about that because of a conversation that we had. Because one of the things that Ava said to me was, my identity was wrapped up in volleyball. She said, "I don't think anybody's gonna like me, or I'm not gonna find my place if I don't play volleyball," and it's just all this pressure all the time to be perfect. You mentioned that to me when we were at the school that, that pressure comes sometimes, with being an athlete. You're a student athlete, you play volleyball. What's that like for you?
Um, I think, like, my mom and I have had several very serious, very real conversations about how me personally, I expect myself to be perfect 24/7, and that's on the court, off the court, on the track, off the track, wherever I'm at, I expect perfection out of myself. And I've come to realize that that's just not what I was made to do. Like, I'm not going to be perfect. No one's perfect. And so I feel like it's gotten better, especially after I talked to you. But yes, it does add a lot of pressure to my life. And I can kind of relate to Ava. Like, I feel there for a while, I felt like if I was not playing volleyball or I was not doing good in the sport that I was participating in at the time, that I was nothing. Like, that's all I was good for, was being an athlete. And that's far from the truth. Like, you can't constantly seek athletic validation because one day I'm not going to be an athlete. And what am I going to do when I'm not? Like, how am I gonna treat myself when I'm not feeling good about myself because I'm doing good in a sport?
That's kinda real to you right now because, if you don't mind me disclosing this to the world, you have an injury on
I
your
do.
on your feet, and that's
Yep.
gonna take you out. The surgery is gonna take you out for a while, and even if and then you're not really sure if it's gonna work. So,
Yeah.
what's that doing to you mentally right now? What are you negotiating? How are you dealing with that?
Yeah, it's a pretty new I got diagnosed on Thursday? Thursday with exertional compartment syndrome. And they told me in the office after my testing that I was done running track. And that stung, obviously. It's Track's not my favorite, but when you tell an athlete that they're done playing a sport for a season, it feels like the end of the world. And so there was lots of tears over that, and I was very upset and kind of just mad at everything, mad at myself, mad at just the circumstance. And then later that night, my doctor told me that I was done for the rest of my club volleyball season. And that one really
Wow.
I took a hit from. Um,
Yeah.
Volleyball's always kind of been my way to, like, escape. Like, I don't feel anything but happiness when I'm playing volleyball. And so when you take that from someone, you feel really lost. It felt like the world was ending. Like, I've obviously processed it now, and I'm realizing that getting fixed as a sophomore in high school is probably the best thing that could have happened to me. I mean, we could have found out that my legs weren't working my junior year when I'm ready to go play college volleyball. So, yeah, it stinks, but I'm also trying to be pretty optimistic about it and realizing that this might be a good thing and that it's okay to not be able to do something for a little bit of time, and hopefully I can find more value in myself as a person instead of just finding value in being an athlete.
And that's gonna be my prayer for you or my hope for you is that, and I don't think that that happens so you're gonna learn this lesson, or I think, like, life presents opportunities, good and bad, and you have to figure out what the silver lining is, like, what can I learn from this? And I think Ava would have liked the opportunity, to be honest. I don't know if it ever
Yeah.
happened to her, but where she coulda had that time of reflection to go, "I'm not just an athlete. I'm a human being that has a lot of different talents and abilities, and, there's a nuance to you." You know what I mean? You're not just pinholed into one thing, right?
Yeah.
You're McKenna. You've got, you got all kinds of things going on. Yeah, it's part of it. It's not, you're an athlete, but that would be my hope is that you can go, I'm somebody outside of this.
Yeah.
That's important to me, and I'm not gonna blow it off, but go to get the surgery and do all the stuff you gotta do, but at the same time, what I want for you is to just as a person is for you to go, "Hey, I'm I'm good by myself, I'm good.
Yeah.
I'm valuable no matter what." So, I don't know, is that too am I doing the assembly all over again? Here I am back doing the assembly. You are valuable. But
Yeah.
no, it's my heartbeat for anybody that because when we get into performance-based value, then we end up chasing it. And so that perfectionism thing comes into play because then we have to perform, we have to do well, because if we don't do well, we're not a person. That's so dangerous. That's incredibly dangerous.
Yeah.
Yeah. Comments, what do you think? Is it dangerous?
I think it's pretty dangerous, yeah, to only see yourself as an athlete and only value yourself as someone like, just to view yourself as someone who's there to perform. Like, that's not good for anyone. And I know in the assembly you mentioned how being a high school kid can be super challenging. Like, you said something about performing for your teachers and performing for your peers and making sure you're not getting judged and then going to practice and making sure that you're performing good. Like, that all just piles up, and that's probably how Ava felt, and that's probably why she ended. I mean, obviously she's doing fine now, but that's why she got to that point.
Yeah. Yeah,
And she's like,
she was right there on the edge, and I come in and I just start talking, and she's like she was, like, doing this, like, the whole time, like, that's why I was noticing her because she was tearing up, and it was just where she was at,
yeah,
and again, like, I talk to kids who come from severe situations where they're being, you know, ab abused at home, and one of the things I don't like is that what I want from my assembly is to talk to everybody there that is in some kind of pain, so don't scale it.
yeah,
Don't go, "Well, because I grew up in a good home, I don't have pain, I don't have pressure." That's the hazard of telling my story, because my story is pretty violent and crazy and
yeah,
whatever, and I would get that. I have kids come to me and go, they wanna tell me their story, and they would say, "Well, mine's not as bad as yours, but," and I would say, "No, stop that, because your worst day is your worst day." Like, that was my worst day, and it was pretty tragic, but you can't scale it,
yeah,
right? The pressure you're under, McKenna, and if we were to scale it, then you would feel like, "Well, I can't, there's kids that are poor and messed up and da da da, and I
yeah,
can't feel the fact that my volleyball career is taking a hit right now." Don't feel bad about that.
yeah,
That's your pain, that's your worst day, and you're allowed that. You should be able to process that, not feel guilty because there's people that are worse than you or whatever. I don't like that because that what that does to a kid is it stuffs that in, and then they're not able to talk about it, and you gotta be able to talk about it. I'm really grateful that you have the mom and dad that you have because you're able to process that with them, and that's awesome.
it is.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I know I'm doing all the talking here. Shut up, Donahue.
Yeah, no, I totally agree with you. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, I don't want you to feel like, "Hey, I've got a good setup here, so I shouldn't feel." No, this is gonna be hard for you, and it's okay. It's okay. You'll get through it because you do have good support, but, you'll have to go through those mental battles, and,
For
um,
sure.
and yeah, and it'll be tough, but I know you'll do it because 'cause you're a tough kid. Yeah,
Yeah. It'll definitely be hard. I mean, it is still hard to think about, obviously, but
yeah.
when I think once I found the positives in it, like, I set goals for throughout the summer, like, I can't play volleyball, I can't hurdle throughout the summer, so, like, what am I gonna do? Like, how am I gonna continue to better myself even though I'm gonna be restricted? Like, I might not be bettering myself specifically for volleyball or for track, but I still have goals to
What are they?
I told so I'm in FFA, and I told my ag advisor, who I'm also super close with, she's helped a lot with the mental side of things, that I was gonna study retail ID and such for meats judging in FFA, and that I wanted to top or place top 10 at state convention next year. So that'll be pretty good. So I'm gonna study all summer, and then I can still work out, just restricted, so I can, like, lift upper body for the most part. So I'm gonna try to get some guns throughout the summer. So yeah.
McKenna's a beast. She's a beast. I'll come
Exactly.
back into your school next year, you're all like,
Yeah.
like,
Be
awesome. Alright, so here's what I want you to do. I want you to look at this audience, and I want you to close us up, with any kind of advice, uh, yeah, McKenna style, just, Fred style.
McKenna Fred style. Um, I'd say listen to Mike. He's a pretty alright guy. But find your value in life and continue to chase it. You are more than what you think you are, and once you find your self-confidence and you realize that you're gonna do something in life, you'll live so much happier. And I'd also say surround yourself with people that make you feel good about yourself and that are always in your corner, and you'll become the best you could ever think of.
You guys, you just heard it live or actually recorded by Fred. Fred, the redhead Fred, no longer a redhead, but she's still Fred. From Banner County High School. So, no, awesome. Thank you so much for coming on and being brave enough to tell your story and, just talk about where you're at in life. And I think that's awesome and proud of you. I mean, I know we don't know each other that well, but I'm really proud of you. You're a good kid. So,
Thank you.
and I'll add this. What I did notice was the kids in school, there might be some that are jealous and weird, whatever, but they have a lot of respect for you because when you talked, they were listening. And it wasn't because you have a lot of authority, so it wasn't because you're a know-it-all and it was because you care and they know you do. And so you have credibility because of that. And I think that's amazing. I'm proud of you.
Thank you.
All right, guys, have a great week. We'll see you next week. Monday Night with Mike. We're gonna have I don't know what we're having next week. I have no idea. But I'm up in Alaska right now. Hey, by the way, I'm gonna show the audience this. I am
Oh,
out. This is my view from my Airbnb here. And I'm doing like 7 or 8 schools and doing some training with leaders and teachers, and I just got here a couple days ago, but it's been crazy. And I'm doing so get on Instagram. It's my value up on Instagram. I'm doing like a daily update on what I'm doing out here in Alaska. I am going to do an old man challenge. I'm looks like we're going to go into that water. Okay, that's the
cool.
ocean right there. And me and another guy named Carter, I've known from being up here. We're gonna jump out on off the pier and go into it's like 35-degree water right now. So it'll be old man challenge. Old man challenge. So
It'll be good for you.
yeah, if I don't have a stroke. But all right. Well, Thanks, everybody. Have a good week. See you next week. Bye.
Bye.